Alright kids, we're going to do something a little different today. Instead of a review, I'm just going to say this is a strong recommendation that you check out an amazing documentary on Shudder. Horror Noire, A History of Black Horror, is a documentary directed by Xavier Bergen, and it functions as an in-depth look at black horror films and African-American roles in horror films throughout history, spanning as far back as Birth of a Nation, all the way to modern-day horror films like Get Out. And honestly, this is a brilliant documentary that takes black horror and black roles in horror, and it tackles those issues and contextualizes them through an emotional lens, through a historical lens, through a lens that is purely that of black actors, writers, filmmakers. You get perspectives from all sorts of different people: Jordan Peele, Ken Foree, Keith David, Rachel True, Robin Means Coleman, Tony Todd, Loretta Devine. It's such an important documentary, especially for those of us who aren't black and maybe never thought about filmmaking or horror in this way. And it offers such a unique and important perspective that's incredibly eye-opening. It delves into the evolution of the way that black people were chosen for roles, how at a time black roles and black characters were specifically limited to servant roles or comic relief, and how those roles evolved over time to eras like the 90s and nowadays, where you got a lot more naturalistic and important and honest depictions of just black life in general. And it raises very interesting points in regard to those roles, in regards to horror and its depiction of black people, and how it both helped and hurt the black community as a whole. How the horror genre hurt black people in many ways, portraying them in a negative light, portraying them in very stereotypical ways, relegating them to stereotypical comic relief, while also being one of the most progressive genres in allowing for more unique, diverse roles for black people. For films like Night of the Living Dead, portraying the first real film version of a black male hero. And for a lot of the interviews you see in this documentary, that was their first exposure to that sort of thing. For creating films like Blackula, Tales from the Hood, blaxploitation as a subgenre that ultimately celebrated black life and culture. Maybe not always in the best way, and maybe in sometimes problematic ways, but in ways that were still giving representation, giving black actors a chance to act. For directors like Wes Craven and his desire to cast black leads in films like People Under the Stairs. For films like Candyman, where you get the first real black supernatural slasher villain. For films like The Craft, where the one lead black character wants to be treated equally and her main issue is dealing with racism. For me, as a white dude, it provided such an important insight and helped me contextualize a lot of horror films in a way I'd never really thought to before. And it leads to conversations that really need to be had. And with Jordan Peele being on top of the world right now, and us being the first modern horror film to portray a normal middle-class black family, and with him being such a prominent modern director seeking to tell stories through that lens, it's a conversation that's finally being had, and this documentary really just helps to draw attention to that, and helps to provide insight that I never would have had otherwise. And I can't recommend it enough, especially if you're into horror, if you're into filmmaking, if you're into socio-political issues, and especially if you're a white person open to hearing new, insightful perspectives about film as a whole. You will not regret it. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you like this channel and you want to see more, click down there, like, comment, subscribe. There's a Patreon link down in the description if you want to help this channel grow and evolve and, help me make new, better quality content for you all to enjoy. Please consider donating. I would really appreciate it. Even $1 would help, but even if you don't, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all very soon.